me, the Tampa Bay Lightning. They got to find a way to get back to their winning ways, and we're going to break it all down with our guy, Benjamin Pierce. Look at you, man. The jacket's looking good. Are you home or are you at the arena?
I'm at home right now. I stopped home quick for lunch, so the wife is down here now. So figured I'd stop home and say hey. But when I found out I was coming on the podcast, I had to step up the jacket game. Mr. Style over here had to make sure I was keeping pace.
I always got my
Hey,
shoes
let's go.
handy. Like I think I wore these in November. I try not to wear shoes more than once, like every 2 months. So I don't know what I'm going with tonight, but I got to keep John Cooper on his toes because I
I
haven't
love
seen him
it.
in a while.
That was like my third game right away. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, but the shoes, man. Every time I need to look down, check out the shoes.
You
So
just
it's
you, I don't know how it became a thing. I just wore purple shoes one time, and then Cooper made some kind of comment like, "You're really making a statement with those," and it kind of grew. And I actually have sneakers that I'm going to wear one day. I wore them to the sneaker soiree last year, and they're silver, but they're sneakers. They're not shoes. I'm a big dress shoe guy,
okay.
but
All right.
the sneakers that I have, they're silver and they have LED lights on the bottom.
Ooh,
And when I presented the award that we did, I actually said I stole these from John Cooper's closet.
love
So
it.
I'm gonna wear those. I'm gonna say tonight's probably not a great night for them, but maybe a playoff game or something
Oh
like
yeah, you
that.
hold on to those. That's smart.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to them. 3 games on the West Coast. There are only 1 goal each game. I'm not too worried about the offense. I'm looking at it in a situation of, hey, it's going to happen. You're talking about a team that's been scoring goals left and right, but just overall play outside of the not scoring goals. I really like the defense in the LA Kings game. I thought if they play defense like that, Benjamin, they're going to be in good shape. But just like, what's your overall take of how they played on the West Coast trip, and what do they have to do to kind of rectify that play before they take on Carolina tonight?
Well, I think the most frustrating thing about that trip is it's not like the Lightning went out there and had 3 duds. Like
Right.
they played sound, good hockey. And you look at that LA game, you look at even the Anaheim game the other night, it's one breakdown. And all of a sudden, a 1-1 game is a 2-1 game or a 2-0 game in Anaheim. It's like they're playing good hockey. It's those quick little mistakes that end up in your own net. And even Coop this morning after morning skate, he said, listen, our process has been good. Like we're playing good hockey. It's just we're allowing those moments to catch up to us. And I think you look at even like shots on goal. Just because somebody has 40 shots on goal, 35 shots on goal doesn't mean that necessarily they're all those really great grade A looks. But for the Lightning, these last couple of games, they have been, and the pucks just aren't going in. I think at the Anaheim game, you kind of saw like vintage John Gibson, like
Yeah.
Mr. USA hockey John Gibson. It was just like where the guy hasn't been great the last couple of years, and obviously Anaheim's kind of on the rebuild, but he was like turning back the clock there a little bit. They're getting good looks, and with the talent that the Lightning have, that's good because listen, you're only stopping Nikita Kucherov so many times. You're only stopping
Right.
Braden Point so many times. Jake Gensel's on an absolute heater to start his tenure here in Tampa Bay. It's really good for that group to have that confidence. And, it's not like they're losing these games 6-1, 5-1. The Montreal game maybe a little bit is the exception, but like their defense has been good. It's just those simple breakdowns once or twice a game that are catching up. And if they can rectify that, man, look out.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens tonight because Carolina, I'm always like in the minority when we talk about Carolina up in the press box because I know like our guy Dave Mishkin for years has been like, oh, this Carolina and this, and me, I've always been like, shot volume all over the place. They'll have 42 shots, but everything's from the outside. And to me, their stars never really show up. And if you look at their stars, with the other stars of like the top tier teams in the East, like I'm always going to take everybody else. I'm always going to take Pasternak and Marchand. I'm always going to take Matthews and Marner. I'm always going to take Kuchin Point over Aho and Svechnikov. It's just the way it goes. And the biggest issue for me every single year is, yeah, they play good defensive hockey, but their goalie's not good. Freddie Anderson has been the guy. Like, I'm not taking him over any of those teams, right? So, tonight is one of those games, even though I do agree that they play a good brand of hockey with Rob Brindamore. I say that the Carolina Hurricanes are a mirror. They show you what type of team you are. If you're going to cheat the game, they're going to beat you. But I think if the Lightning can play how they did in LA and play a good structured game, I think they're going to be able to be the team that's going to, come out on top and to score more goals, especially with their big guys. I mean, I feel like Nikita Kucherov is just like, he's got to be so pissed off right now. Like, oh, you guys think that I'm in control? Like, would you be surprised if Kuch had 5 points tonight? Because I wouldn't be.
No, I mean, go back to the first game of the year against Carolina. Obviously,
Mhm.
that's the one that with the hurricane, they ended up leaving early
Right.
and heading out there. And there's all the stress back home. Everybody's wondering what's going to happen to our house, what's happening here, and what does Kucherov do? Goes out and opens the season with a hat trick, right? Like that's just what Kuch does. And you've seen some of that frustration. And the nice thing is it's not coming from a bad place. When Kucherov gets upset and you can see it on the ice, it's because he wants to score. He wants to win. And that's what you want is guys who are true, just raw competitors. And Kucherov is fully that. Listen, anytime Kucherov has a good night, it doesn't surprise me. He's one of those guys that you're halfway through the second period and you're going over your notes and you're like, wait a minute, like Kucherov has 4 points. Like what? Like, because he has these moments where he's makes a great play, but he's not a super flashy player. He just makes the smart, efficient play, and he makes these unbelievable thread the needle passes across the zone. But if he has a big night, the Lightning are going to win 9 times out of 10. That top line has been dynamite. But the thing is, the Lightning, the bottom 6, even those guys have said these last couple of days, like, we need to do more. We need to do our part because our top line has been so good. If we can take our game to the next level, look out. And you see Mikey Eyssimont these last couple of games has been up with Nick Paul and Mitch Chaffee. They've kind of reworked some things, moved some guys around, and Eyssimont's been very motivated. You've seen him get a lot of shots on net, some more ice time. It's just a matter of how can we help support so that these teams can't just zero in on our top line. And the second line for the Lightning this year has been dynamite. I mean, that Hagel-Cirelli combo is just, nobody's stopping those two right now. But at the same time, for Carolina, you mentioned about the fact that they don't have that like raw number one top of the league player. The difficulty with that is they've got a lot of really, really good top 6 players.
Yeah, right.
So it's hard to do some of that line matching when they've got 3 lines that are very good players. Like, they don't have a 100-point guy, no. But in a typical year, they have 4 to 5, 60 to 80-point guys. Like it's a real team effort, which means maybe you have to do more line matching, different things. And they're the Carolina Hurricanes. It's Rod Brind'Amour. They typically defend in a pretty sound way. So you make a mistake, it's in your own net. And that's kind of what the Lightning have seen lately on the West Coast. So they're going to be motivated tonight. I can guarantee you that. They're not happy with this 4-game skid, and they're definitely looking to snap it tonight.
What do you make of the play of Conor Geekie? Because I feel like anytime that you try to analyze how good a rookie is playing, everybody always has the caveat, whether it's fair or not, oh, he's a rookie and there's learning. But I see that there's more to his game that he's not necessarily showing. And I don't know if it's, is he nursing a little something? Is it a confidence thing? Is he just a rookie? But I feel like there is a snarl to his game that I think he had a little bit early on in the season, maybe not as much now. Because if let's say you put him on that line with Hagel and Cirelli, right? He needs to be almost like the playmaker guy because those two guys are going to be the grinders. Those are the guys that are going to be working below the line to get the puck. Like he has to be a little bit more of the skill guy. He's got the talent in there. I just feel like, he's that guy that's going to tell you how far this team is going to go. You talked about line matches. It's going to be a lot tougher to line up with the Lightning if you know that, hey, all right, we may put our top pairing against the number 1 line, but man, we got to be worried about Hagel and Cirelli, those two dynamos that do great on the PK. And now they got this kid Geekie. Where would you assess his play right now?
I've actually been really impressed with Conor Geekie because you're talking about a guy that there was a lot of hope in training camp, but there was never a guarantee that this kid was going to be on the roster to start this year. And he clawed his way onto the roster, and he starts the year in the bottom 6, and he's worked his way into the top 6. And I think a big part of that is he's such a good complement to Hagel and Cirelli, because what a lot of people don't realize is when you've got a duo like that is so good together, it's not an easy thing to just be that third wheel. Like, it's not like you can just plug anybody there because, well, those guys are good. We'll just, whoever's that third piece is going to be fine. it's hard when you're playing with two guys that have that established chemistry, that know where they're going to be, to make sure that you're not messing up the flow of things. That's a really difficult thing to do. And I think Geeks has done a really good job of it. Now, one thing I think that you mentioned is his size. He is very, very big for a 20-year-old as far as just being in shape and being that muscular. I think he said, he's hoping to get bigger over the years as he develops and keeps working on his training and stuff like that. But like this guy's strong. Like you watch some of the net drives that he makes when he gets that puck in the corner and he goes to the net with speed. It's hard to stop that guy when he's moving. And that's when you're going to start drawing penalties. That's when you're going to have to draw the attention of maybe an extra defender because one guy's not going to be enough. And then that opens ice for Hagel, opens ice for Cirelli. And I think having him on that second line, you mentioned that Hagel and Cirelli, they go to the corners. They go to those dirty areas where you don't love to be because you're going to take a stick. You're going to take a cross check, maybe a body. But having a third guy there that's willing to do that too, I think has helped Hagel and Cirelli in a way because it's opening that ice. And for Conor Geekie as a rookie, it's never easy to step into the NHL. And he's actually pretty high up there in the rookie scoring. It's kind of a down year overall for the NHL, maybe for rookie scoring. But for a guy who's got, some goals this year already, I think he started very well offensively, and it has slowed down a little bit lately here. But he's doing all the things away from the puck that for a lot of rookies, that is the hardest thing to learn. It isn't, if you're a skill guy, you can score goals. If you're a skill guy, you can make the pass. But it's, how do I not hurt my team in the defensive zone? And I think that's what a lot of the young NHL players struggle to adapt to immediately. And I think that's where you're seeing Conor Geekie have the success. I mean, I think back to all the games this year. How many times have you seen Conor Geekie throw a muffin pass up the middle of the ice, turnover, or in the neutral zone have a bad turnover? It doesn't really happen. And for that to be a thing where he's 20 years old, but he knows, hey, I can't turn this puck over, that's a big, big deal. And I've been really impressed with that part of his game.
Yeah, and I wonder, in the long run, does Geekie, of course they love the point Kucherov Gensel line, but sometimes you switch things around a little bit, and we know John Cooper is not opposed to putting the lines in the blender a little bit, and we saw, some of the different restructuring over the weekend, with Coop, like, well, let's move Kucherov and let's do, and that's it's always fun to keep an eye on for sure. I want to ask you about the D-core. No JJ Moser. It's just I watched a highlight the other day, and to see him on there, I was like, man, I missed that guy. How do you think that the Lightning D-core has been able to do in his absence? Because it's been, I thought it was a really nice partnership with him and Hetty.
Well, another guy that came in and you've heard things, you look at the numbers and different data points from Arizona, and you're like, I mean, this guy looks like a player, but I would say he's exceeded every expectation that the Lightning fans and team maybe could have had for him, because he came in here and looked like a true top pairing defenseman. It wasn't like, hey, he's just riding the coattails of Victor Hedman. Hetty's doing all the work. Like JJ was doing a lot of really, really good things, and they've missed him for sure. With that said, the nice thing for the Lightning is Darren Radish, who had his career year last year playing alongside Victor Hedman, to have that option sitting there immediately, to where I think Radish has done a really good job playing with Victor Hedman, and there's that familiarity. There's not that 4 to 5 game stretch of, okay, what does he like to do when he's got the puck? Where does he want me to be as far as that breakout? Just those kind of things. I think that's been a good pairing. The second pairing of Mac and Chernak, I mean, that's a duo that has so much experience together. I think if you asked every NHL coach in the league, like, would you take this as a shutdown pairing? Everybody would sign up right now. I mean, that's just such a good combo. And even that third pairing, Perbix and Lilleberg, for two guys that haven't had as much ice time as those other top four, which makes sense given the players in the top four. But I think they've done a pretty good job as a third pairing. Your job isn't really to go out there and score a bunch of goals, or you're really trying to just do your job. And I don't want to say tread water, because like Perbix has had a couple of really good games offensively this year. And Lilleberg has kind of stepped up as a physical piece for the Lightning. Like in the start of the year, he had a couple of fights. He leads the Lightning in fights. He's up there in hits. And he's still a younger guy. It's his first so far full-time season in the NHL. He saw some time last year, but I think they're still kind of learning how to play together a little bit. Now, with that said, again, you lose a top pairing defenseman. I think all of those guys have really stepped up. And even some of the guys that came up from Syracuse right away in the AHL. I mean, you look at Declan Carlisle, first NHL goal. Steven Santini, like, what a story for that guy. First NHL game in 2 years. They're doing what they have to do. And if you look at the different breakdowns these last couple of games, it really is one play. I think for the most part, that group has been good. It's just eliminating those mistakes, especially late in games.
Did you get a chance? I know it was tough with watching all the games. Did you get a chance to watch any of the World Junior stuff?
Oh, hey, absolutely we
All
did.
over it. Oh, so cool to watch
That
Team
was
USA. I
back
mean,
to back.
I know Ryan Leonard being able to win the MVP and just embracing that heel role. It was fantastic. I just love the World Juniors. I was telling everybody yesterday on the show of like, you watch like college football, college basketball, and you're like, all right, there's only a small percentage of these players that are going to be playing at the next level. Well, a lot of these World Junior players have already been drafted, so like they're already in the pipeline, and there's. You watch back to World Junior final games from the last couple of years, and they're just littered with NHL players, which is really fun to watch. We got the Four Nations face-off coming up in about a month here, and
that's going to be
John
unreal.
Cooper going to be the head coach for Team Canada. And I was having this conversation with Braden Coburn a couple of weeks ago. I was like, wait a second, I'm an American kid that grew up playing and loving hockey. Do I cheer for the USA? Do I cheer for Coop? Do I cheer for Hetty? Like, it's going to be tough for Bolts Nation to kind of like, all right, do we stay true to our nation, or do we follow our guys? Because let's say you do root for the red, white, and blue. Yeah, it'd be great to cheer for Gensel, but it'll be awkward as hell to cheer against Coop, Point, Hetty, Sorelli, and Hagel.
Yeah, and it's funny too, talking to the guys the last couple of weeks in the locker room, like, have you thought about it? And they've all said their focus is on the Lightning right now. But Hags made a joke a couple of weeks ago, I love Gents, but can't wait to play against him. I love Hetty, but hoping to get one, we'll take it when it comes. But they're very excited to compete against each other and just to have that best on best. With everything that's happened with the Olympics and hockey these last couple of years, there really hasn't been that opportunity. You look at everything that happened over the COVID and everything before that with the different things with Russia internationally.
Right.
This is really the first true opportunity for best on best hockey. And it's going to be a blast. It's not the Olympics, but you can tell talking to the guys, like it means something. This isn't just a, hey, let's throw something together because we can. Like they're excited for this.
Yeah, I do feel bad for like Kucherov, because I was in Toronto last year for the All-Star game when the announcement was made, and they were asking like Pasternak, and they were asking Draisaitl, and they were like, we don't care. Like they were just so like they were just like, yeah, okay, how are we best on best, and we're not there. And it's yeah, you would love to see the Czechs have a team, and the Germans, and obviously the Russians, but I think it might be a blessing in disguise, right? It might be a blessing in disguise. Give Vasi some time off, give Kucherov some time off, right? Like it might not be a bad thing for those guys not to play so much. Before I let you go, I want to ask you about your relationship with Gabby Shirley and the podcast, and just your transition to covering the Lightning, man. How's everything been, and how can everybody hear you guys?
Yeah, it's been great. We've got the Into the Blue podcast with myself and Gabby Shirley. It comes out every Thursday on wherever you can get podcasts. So Apple, on the Spotify, it's all over the place. So it's been a lot of fun. Gabby and I talk everything Lightning. We're obviously around the office, the rink every day, talking to the players and coaches, talking to trainers, everybody around the rink. So it's a blast getting to do something that doesn't really feel like work. I grew up in Wisconsin, and getting to work in the NHL was always the dream. It's not something that I'm guessing a lot of people saw coming at 27, but it's truly been an absolute blessing. I love getting to work with Gabby and Stephen Buck and Krenner, Hairboy as they call him around these parts. It's Breezer. It's a great group, and just been super, super happy to see it. And you watch these guys at home, and I grew up a big Oilers fan, Edmonton, and you get to see these guys play, and you realize how good they are. But to get to watch guys like Kucherov and Braden Point, like I don't know how it's possible for guys who are scoring 100+ points a year to be underrated, but like from my vantage point, they truly are. It's unreal what these guys can do, and to do it 82 games a year, it's a blessing. It's unreal, and just having a lot of fun with it. So Into the Blue podcast every week with Gabby Shirley. You can find my stories and writing on the Lightning website. It's a lot of fun right now, and we're gonna keep going.
How did you become an Oilers fan?
Okay, so growing up in Wisconsin, we don't have an NHL team. So it was always kind of the wild a little bit growing up. My first NHL game was actually at Amalie Arena while we were on family vacation when I was about 12 years old. So that's kind of a crazy little, full circle moment for me. But when I was in high school, I was helping out. I was doing coaching youth hockey with some of the guys, and we had somebody from USA Hockey come down. And he was talking to me a little bit about, you're in high school. Why you spend your free time here coaching the kids? I'm like, yeah, it's, kind of a rink rat. It's just what I love to do. But he mentioned, he's like, who's your favorite player? And I'd kind of been watching the Oilers, and this was pre-Connor McDavid, by the way. So
can I guess? Can I guess who your favorite player was?
Yeah, you can. You're never going to get it, but you go ahead.
Offensive or defensive player?
Offensive.
It wasn't Ryan Smith, was it?
Okay, so he was one of the early ones, yes. Okay, but no, this isn't.
Give me a number. Give me the player's number. See if I can get it.
23.
23. Give me initials.
MH.
MH. For the Oilers?
For the Oilers, yep. Jeez. He also played for the Nashville Predators.
MH. I'm gonna hate myself. It's not Mike Hoffman.
Nope. He older than Mike.
Jeez, this is gonna bother me. Is he American?
Yep.
MH. This is gonna really bother me. MH. All right, give me a second initial of each name.
Okay, MAHE.
Oh God. All right. Yeah, no, somebody put Havlat, not Martin Havlat.
No. So I'll give you, while you're thinking on this. So this guy, when I was talking to this gentleman with USA Hockey, just talking about it, I mentioned, there's a guy playing right now for the Oilers who I really like. He plays on the fourth line, and I like the fact
fourth liner.
I like the fact that he's one of the best face-off guys in the NHL, and he carved out an NHL career really focusing in on that. And I'm like, would this guy have made the NHL otherwise? I don't know. But he PKs, he wins faceoffs.
Is it Matt?
It is Matt.
Hennessy?
Close.
Matt Hendricks.
Matt Hendricks.
Yes.
So I told this guy, I'm like, I love Matt Hendricks because growing up, I like the fact that, listen, I didn't have the greatest hands, but get pucks deep, get the redirection goals, maybe play a little rough and tumble a little bit. And I just love that about Matt Hendricks for whatever reason. And sadly, I was also a big Neil Yakupov fan when they drafted him. Obviously, maybe the worst first overall pick in the history of the NHL. But I have a couple of those jerseys laying around somewhere back home. But a couple of weeks later in the mail, Matt Hendricks sent me a bunch of signed gear. So this gentleman had told him, you got a kid all the way in Wisconsin that's a big fan of yours. So when I got the signed gear from Hendo, that pretty much locked it in for me for the Oilers. So pretty workaround way to get to the fan base, but it was a cool thing.
It seals the deal, man. Yeah, my dad was an Islander fan, and I was my allegiance was up for grabs. And then at 9 years old, Mark Messier came in and was like, "Hey, we're gonna win," and he scored a hat trick, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world.
That guy.
Yeah. By then I was like, yeah, I'm hooked. There's no chance. And it's funny you say that about being, because I actually played defense. And when I was, I think 16, 17, one of my senior seasons, one of my coaches on the power play put me in front of the net because he was like, "Can you bunt?" Because I was a baseball player, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm actually a really good bunter." He's like, "You think you can deflect pucks in front of the net?" And I go, "Yeah," because I didn't play on the power play anyway. I was more of a Dan Girardi, blocking the shots, deflecting everything. Everybody else gets all the credit. And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do that." And I scored 3 power play goals that year, just all on tips.
All on. So I was like, "Love it. Know your role. Know your role."
Jay Pavelski over here. They call me.
Wow, unreal.
Awesome. Yeah. The one and only Benjamin Pierce, the beat writer for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I appreciate your time, my friend. I will see you tonight at Amalie Arena. Only God knows what color shoes that I'll be wearing.
All right, I'll look forward to it. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate everything you're doing. I think the show has been fantastic. So love tuning in, and people are lucky to have you.
Thanks, Benjamin. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, bud.
All right, see you in a bit.
Good stuff.